It is that time of year again. Top 15 time with NBL MVP Derek Rucker. At this mid-season break, we're going to take stock and see who is where in the pecking order in this NBL26 season. My name is Joel Peterson. Ruck, it is great to be with you. I love how you put together these lists. They always cause debate, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you've got in store.
Well, I can tell you right off the bat, it is getting harder and harder to put this list together. So many talented players and wonderful individual performances throughout the NBL26 season thus far. It's making my job tough, Joel. It gets stressful, but firstly, let me thank everyone at NBL HQ who allowed this to happen, and more importantly, all the fans who provide feedback, comments. They get into it, they really enjoy it, and keep it coming because I love doing it.
Yep, there'll be plenty to talk about. We've got some new facilities here for this top 15 as well. So Ruck's going to do the weather shortly after the top 15. So we're going 2 for 1 today. Barometric pressure and our top 15 list. This is the 6th time that you've done this. So after the season in 2024, all throughout last season 3 times. So pre-season, mid-season, end of season. The pre-season list this year. And, of course, this one at the mid-season break. How does it come together? What sort of categories are you looking for? There's obviously legacy versus recency bias, all those factors combined. How does it come together for you?
Well, obviously, I look at how significant a player is in determining whether or not his team wins or loses. And generally, the better a player performs, especially if you're a star player, the greater the impact on your team's success is. I look at advanced metrics. And then there's some subjective things like, are you box office? Do people come out to see you? Are you a highly charismatic player? Are you polarizing? If you're polarizing, I give you some love also. So there are a lot of things that come into it. And as I said before, Joel, it's getting tougher, but the challenge is something that I really enjoy.
We'll talk about a few players who don't make the list a little bit later on. One of them, though, is Casey Prather, who was in the preseason top 15. And, of course, injuries, they're going to play a role for many players in this season, and they have for Casey.
Yeah, and realistically, had he not gotten injured, he was easily into the top 6 or 7. But because of the depth of talent in the league right now, I had to knock players out due to injury. Some others have been impacted, although not as adversely as Casey. But yeah, injuries are playing a factor, and now basically if you get hurt, it's really going to hinder your chances of being in the top 15.
Well, before we dive into this one, let's revisit what you did in the preseason. Of course, Bryce Cotton was #1 in the top 15 in the preseason here in the NBL. Kendrick Davis 2, Montrezl Harrell, of course, no longer with us in the NBL at #3. Parker Jackson Cartwright 4. Jack McVeigh was in at #5. You had a few new players. Admiral Schofield was in there. He hasn't had the season that he would have hoped for. Zylan Cheatham rounded out the top 15 preseason.
Interesting, and I've forgotten entirely what that list looked like. So thanks for the reminder. And now it's going to be really cool to see the movement from that preseason one. And also, I think you've done some work in terms of historical appearances in the top 15.
Yeah, we can tell you who's been in how many times and all that kind of thing throughout the course of the show today. So it is time. Let's get stuck in. Ruck, over to you with number 15.
Number 15 is Milton Doyle, the slick, creative scorer from Melbourne United. He's made the move over from the Tasmania Jack Jumpers, where he won a championship with them. Milton Doyle is an advanced metrics enigma. He often doesn't come up good when we look at these numbers, but I've downplayed his advanced metrics in favor of leaning into the fact that he is one of the most clutch players in the competition. He's a terrific game winner, and for that reason, Milton Doyle sits at number 15.
He wasn't in the list in the preseason, Milton Doyle. It's his 3rd appearance in the top 15. Is he the best closer in the NBL? Is he on the podium? Where have you got him?
So he is not the best closer. Obviously, that goes to Bryce Cotton. I even have Chris Golding, his teammate, in there. But what his value is to Melbourne United is that he gives them another elite closer. And in their pursuit of the championship, which we know Melbourne United, that's all they care about, is getting back to the championship series. Milton Doyle is going to have the opportunity to prove exactly why he's in this top 15 list. His ability to score at clutch times in the game and at any point, because clutch times don't actually always occur late in the game. Sometimes it can be in the second quarter. It can be in the third quarter. critical possessions, players have to understand when they are happening and then be able to execute.
Yeah, and he's so smooth. He is a joy to watch, Milton Doyle, at all times, and he starts the top 15 of this mid-season here in the NBL. Let's get into number 14.
Number 14 is Christian Doolittle. Has improved his play significantly in the past month or so. And I think this is a guy who really could be a first-team All-NBL level player. But he hasn't quite gotten off to the start. The Perth Wildcats' performances have been patchy in this first break that we head into. Look, he can score, rebound, and is the perfect size to play 3 positions in the NBL. And when they decide to go small ball 5 is when Doolittle can really excel. If Perth are to go deep into the postseason, Christian Doolittle must play at his best, and also probably has the best name in the NBL.
Yeah, it's right up there, that is for sure. I like the little subcategories there. That's right in my wheelhouse. So 74 points in his 3 games coming into the FIBA break. He has been in red-hot form. He's another one who Perth turned to a lot in late-game situations. And 3rd season in the league, he struggled at the start. He put together a great postseason last year, and now he's really hit his straps. And we're talking career highs in most categories.
Well, the fact that his 3-ball has come alive and he's starting to shoot it well, we saw him really hurt a couple of teams late in that run when Perth started to get some wins. But I think the fact that they had a lot of change in the lineup affected him. And Dylan Windler, a guy who has been hurt throughout the course of the first 10 rounds, and Doolittle was trying to do too much at times. And I just think now he's settled into his role and he can really start to thrive and show why he's a high-level player. And the Wildcats put faith in him with a long-term contract this past offseason.
Yeah, able to influence the game in many ways is Christian Doolittle. He's been a great pickup for the Perth Wildcats. 13 is unlucky for some, Ruck. Who's it lucky for this time?
13 is Tyson Walker. Tyson Walker is the steady, solid on the defensive end, clutch shot taking and making point guard of Melbourne United. And I think he's been one of the best additions to the league this season. A great import selection. His value has increased because of the injuries that have plagued Shea Illy thus far in the season. And when I look at Tyson Walker, I see a guy that has a lot of leadership about him. He's still a young professional, and it's just been a great acquisition by Melbourne United. He's already been a significant contributor in late game moments in 2 or 3 victories already this season for Melbourne United.
Had 8 steals in a game earlier this season. He's number 4 in that category across the course of the year. The counting numbers are good, but the one real number that stands out with Tyson Walker is that he leads the league in plus minus. This guy wasn't a hugely heralded pickup, probably not the biggest recruit that Melbourne even had when Doyle and Jesse Edwards, who has had a fantastic season, came into town, but he has been wonderful for Dean Vickerman.
And I like his personality. He's got a stabling influence while yet being intense. And sometimes that's hard. A lot of players, when their emotions get raised, they lose their ability to stay poised under pressure. And Tyson Walker's done a great job. And this is a league that is blessed with tremendous small guards. So to be in just your first 13, 14, 15 games, whatever Walker has played, to be considered this highly is a significant achievement by him.
Yep, he's had a terrific start to the season. He sort of embodies exactly what Dean Vickerman would have wanted in a guard, so he makes his top 15 debut at number 13. Let's kick it along to number 12.
Number 12 is Jack McVeigh. The Cairns Taipans forward is back in the NBL after a stint as a two-way player in the NBA. And look, McVeigh, his season thus far has been a bit abbreviated and disjointed because of the wrist injury he sustained. But since coming back, he's been outstanding, averaging over 20 points a game, starting to shoot the ball a lot better. And look, Kansas' poor season, Joel, has probably been the reason why he has dropped down the list into position number 12.
So he's down 7 spots from where he was in the preseason, down to number 12. He's second in the league in minutes. He's averaging career high for assists this season, so he has had to do a bit of the facilitation for this Cairns Taipans team. 39 and 34 in his 2 games coming in. And you mentioned he's shooting 51%. Is he trending in the right direction to go back up that list?
Well, there's no doubt, because I actually, when I started working on this, say 2 to 3 weeks ago, I had him outside the top 15. So I had him right at 16 or 17. But then in the past 3 or 4 games, Joel, he started to demonstrate why he's so valuable and the type of player that we kind of expected from the jump. But as I mentioned before, you know, he's getting used to playing a different role. He's not in a system like he played and thrived in down in Tasmania. Cairns Taipan's offensive structure is a bit different, but I think he's figuring it out.
That's an interesting point you make, because Tassie wasn't built for him. His NBA experience was not built for him, and now he comes back to a team that is very much built in his image. That's a big shift in the way that he plays.
And also, the personnel in Cairns don't necessarily suit what is best for Jack McVay. They don't really have a true point guard. Andrew Andrews is sort of a combo guard, and again, he's learning about the NBL. So a lot of the team dynamics haven't actually worked in Jack McVay's favor when we're looking towards his individual success.
So that's the first 4 in this top 15 mid-season edition. Let's go to number 11.
Number 11 is Zylan Cheatham, the connector, the athletic player from the Adelaide 36ers. Athleticism on top of athleticism is what Cheatham displays. Some of the best dunks we've ever seen in the NBL. The guy just continues to be a dynamic playmaker for the 36ers. He's learned how to play with Bryce Cotton, which is not easy. Not because Bryce is difficult to play with, but because Bryce is so dynamic and he's unpredictable. And not all role players understand how to play with a superstar. Cheatham's been great in this regard. The Sixers are 11-3. He has a net rating of plus 16, which is one of the best at his position.
He's the number 1 rebounder in the competition, pulls down 30% of defensive rebounds when he is on the floor. He gobbles rebounds for fun. The really impressive thing, I mean, you talk about his athleticism, but his ability to connect his teammates, as you said. For a big guy who can run the floor, he can really pass the ball. That gets Cotton involved, that gets Humphries involved particularly, but he sets the table for a lot of his teammates.
And the other thing is, I've noticed in some of the in the zone segments that we do on broadcast, he's been really good with his leadership. And he's a guy that's not shying away from responsibility and enforces accountability amongst that playing group. So there's just a lot of positive things that contribute to winning that you get from Zylan Cheatham. He could probably feel somewhat hard done by with this position on the top 15.
If there was a top 15 for human highlight reels, is he number 1?
Number 1.
Is his teammate Bryce Cotton number 2 on that list?
He's in the top 3, but let's not forget about JaVale McGee. He's produced some tremendous highlights thus far.
Yeah, I feel like we'll be hearing about a couple of those names a little bit later on in this countdown. We are into the top 10 now. Let's get to number 10.
Number 10, Isaac Humphries. He comes right on the back of Zylan Cheatham. So the Adelaide front line is well accounted for. The dominant Aussie big who's taken a huge step in NBL26. His productivity, his efficiency has gone up tremendously. He's learned how to play harmoniously with Cheatham and Cotton, which is massive. Again, it's not easy to play with other outstanding players. You must know how to assert yourself, but you also must be selfless in your approach. His player efficiency rating, or PER, is 26.8, which is top 5 in the NBL. He carries a net rating of 23, which is elite.
Yeah, it is very, very impressive. And Spatial Jam's got some good numbers. And 128 offensive rating when Isaac Humphries is on the floor for Adelaide, which would be far and away the best in the league. It's a very, very impressive mark. He's been in this list twice before, and you've got to go back to the first couple of editions to find him. His rise this season, he's putting together those numbers, and he looks engaged, he looks energised. He's putting together a really strong season, isn't he?
Well, we've heard a lot of talk in previous seasons when Humphries was with the Sixers about utilizing him and getting his usage up. But no one's actually been able to get it to this level where the application leads to success in games. And now we're seeing the full evolution of Isaac Humphries because, again, it's contributing to lots of W's and not a lot of L's.
And Mike Wells has been really strong on the fact that he anchors their defence, and that's a really critical role for this Adelaide 36ers team, which is enjoying success to start the season. What about number 9, Ruck?
We're at number 9 already. Number 9 is Nathan Sobey, the dynamic, super athletic 2-guard of the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix. And Joel, full credit goes to Nathan Sobey because he hasn't appeared in this list consistently. And it's a guy who I took a lot of criticism over for excluding him from previous lists. But at the age of 35, I've said it before, he continues to display the greatest combination of athleticism, durability, and longevity that we've ever seen from an Australian two-guard. His athleticism seemingly continues to improve despite his age. And right now, under the guidance of Josh King and the current structure of the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, Sobey is thriving. And even though he's only at number 9 on the list, he is still an MVP candidate if he continues his good play and Phoenix continue to win a lot of basketball games.
He's put together a good season. We know the counting numbers are always there for Nathan Sobey. Second in the league in three-point attempts throughout the course of the season. Wasn't on the list at the start of this season. It's his second appearance in a top 15. He's top 5 in scoring this season as well. He's shooting the 3 ball at 36%. We know that he's got that sort of volume at really high ceiling, but the efficiency's come a long way for him this year.
And that was one of the main criticisms. He never really shot the ball consistently over the 30% mark from deep. But now he's at a really respectable 36, and it's totally changed not only the way his numbers look and his impact on winning, but the team is a lot more confident in him now. And you know, there was a lot of criticism about his desire to play hero ball when he was up with Brisbane, but that has gone away. And when he does decide to play that way and look out for himself and really be aggressive, it's seemingly working out in his favor more often than not.
Now, he's on that top 15 of highlight reels as well. Between the threes with hands in the face, he can still get up, as he showed us on Saturday night too.
The other thing, Joel, is that he's really bought into Josh King's defensive mindset. He's always been a very intense and passionate player, but now he's actually putting it into effect on the defensive end for Southeast Melbourne, and he's very disruptive. Like I said, his athleticism, he can get out in the lane and get steals, and his ball pressure is very good for a player of his age.
Yeah, one of the Southeast Melbourne co-captains with Geordie Hunter, and he's putting together a nice campaign, is Nathan Sobey. What about number 8, Ruck?
Number 8 is Xavier Cooks, and this is an interesting one. Was off to a terrible start this season as the Kings went down to 3-5. They had that horrible loss against Tasmania where Xavier actually inbounded the ball that led to the steal and the Nick Marshall bucket to win the game. But back to his brilliant best in the past 5 or 6 games. He's got great floor direction. He's a great defensive presence. He penetrates. He's got excellent energy. All the MVP attributes that we saw from Xavier Cooks a few seasons past, they're back now. And Joel, Sydney can win all the games they play as long as Cooks plays at that high level. Number 8, again, I tried to get him a little bit higher. It just felt to me that he should be a top 5 player. But I think in the final wash, considering all the talent that's around in the league now, I think number 8's a good spot.
So he's been in the list 5 times, Xavier Cooks. He debuted at number 1. In this top 5 list. Yeah. The numbers on his appearances are interesting. So he starts at number 1, he comes in number 2 in his next list, number 5, he was number 6 in the preseason, and he's now number 8. At his best, clearly the ceiling is there for a top 5 player. Could he recapture that level this season?
There's no doubt. And, you know, when you look at the Sydney Kings, again, he's probably been penalized a bit by the whole team's dynamic not gelling early on. And again, they've had some change. Delvedova is now out of the lineup. They're trying to figure out how to utilize Kendrick. Bullquall and Galloway, they're still trying to figure their way and what they can do most effectively for the Sydney Kings. So when you have all of these pieces in movement, sometimes it's hard for a player like Xavier Cooks to find his way and excel at his best. But I think we've seen him not worry about so much of the external variables within that dynamic and just focus on himself, and it's led to much more success for him and the Sydney Kings.
Yeah, and those Kings team, they've got a high ceiling. They're going to be a potentially pretty scary prospect down the back end of the season. Let's kick it along to number 7.
Number 7 is Chris Goulding, the Melbourne United sharpshooter. And his advanced metrics are stratospheric this season. 64% true shooting, a net rating of 24, and a player efficiency rating of almost 21, which is outstanding. Chris Goulding now is 37 years old and continues to be a top 5 scouted and game plan player in the competition. When he gets going from deep, Melbourne United are so hard to beat, and he goes to a place where, Joel, I've been around the league a long time, very few other players can get to with his shooting. We love that he ignites the fury in opposition fans. We love all the people that consider him a flopper. And again, along with Nathan Sobey, I would say the two most polarizing players in the NBL.
He's a walking heat check, Chris Goulding. He is featured in this list every single time. Never higher than third, never lower than eighth. He comes in at number 7. His longevity is enduring, and he continues to play a massive role in that team success for Melbourne. He missed the first couple of games of the season, but again, some of the numbers around his individual offensive rating up around 130. It just shows the spacing that he gives the floor, and he is such an important piece of this Melbourne team.
Well, just having Chris Goulding out on the floor does so much for the way Melbourne United's offensive shape forms. And I think, as you mentioned, you just have to get out there and account for him at all times. You see teams sending 2, 3 guys trying to limit his ability to shoot the basketball from deep, and that just opens up so much more. The dunker in Jesse Edwards. Tyson Walker has penetration lanes. Milton Doyle's job's been made a lot easier for being able to be out on the court with the threat. That's Chris Goulding.
Yep, the Fire Brigade needs to be on standby for every Melbourne United game still. Even at 37, CG can still light it up with the best of them. Of course, top 15, we're going to go through 1 to 5 separately, and that is coming up very, very soon. But number 6 rounds out this part of the list. Ruck, who you got?
Number 6 is Parker Jackson Cartwright, the charismatic point guard of the New Zealand Breakers. Probably does the best job of any point guard in the league in determining tempo and controlling the tone of the basketball game. Now, is he a top 5 player? No doubt he is. But the fact that the Breakers blew so many games early in the season and sit down outside the top 6 has probably hurt his standing. I think this is a pretty fair ranking for him, but one that I would have one of those little green arrows next to look out for, maybe getting up into the top 3 or 4 by the end of the season.
Yeah, the trend might be Parker Jackson Cartwright's friend over the next little while. Number 1 in assists. He's had 19 more than any other player so far this season. 42% in terms of his assist percentage, those possessions that he uses. His usage rate is high, but he is so efficient, and we've seen him more recently for New Zealand when their form's turned around a little bit. Late in games, he's not deferring, he's putting that team on his back, and he is making winning plays. And
I think he's made Sam Menenga a much better basketball player, and Rob Baker all of a sudden is learning how to play in the league. Isaiah Brockington's starting to get his flow. I thought the last game they played up in Cairns was a tremendously balanced performance by New Zealand, but it all revolves around the axis and the dynamic playmaking of Parker Jackson Cartwright. I think it is important, Joel, that he continue to score the basketball, though. If I was Parker Jackson Cartwright, I'd be trying to average 20 and 8 for the balance of the season.
He's been in the list in all 6 appearances, so he comes in at number 6 here. He's been right up in those top brackets. So he was 4 in the preseason. He was 14 at the end of last year. He was number 1 mid-season last year. He was number 2 in the preseason. Do you remember where you had him at the end of 2024? I just can't remember where he was.
He was number 7.
In that first list. We love you, Parker, and you bring so much passion and intensity to not only this particular list, but to the NBL as well. He comes in at number 6 and rounds out our first bracket of players. So that is the bottom 10 in the top 15. It starts with Milton Doyle. It finishes with Parker Jackson Cartwright. That's a pretty good-looking squad.
It's very good. And that talent, like any of those guys on any night, can be the best player in any given game. And I think that is, that's why this league is so great. That's why it's so competitive. And when you look at trying to make a list like this, I started this list with a patch of 35 players. And getting from 35 to 25 was really difficult. And then narrowing it down to 15, well, yeah, that really stretched me, and I had to do a lot of research and a lot of hard work and make some tough decisions.
I think we can sort of guess the names who will be among those top 5. A few of the names that I'm not seeing here. Tyler Harvey was in the list in the preseason. Bryce Hamilton was on the list in the preseason. Will Magnay was on the list in the pre-season. We know that Magnay's had injuries. He's just returned for the Jack Jumpers. Dylan Windler's another who's been playing some good basketball. Sam Menenga, you mentioned in connection to Parker Jackson-Cartwright. Who were your toughest cuts?
Sam Menenga was a really tough one because he's performed so well. I think, he was a victim of the team not winning games. And I think, if they turn that around, if they can win close games down the stretch, I don't see why Menenga can't appear. Casey Prather, obviously, with the injury. Will Magnay missed time. And Will Magnay missing time in his injury and the subsequent losses that flowed on for the Jack Jumpers really affected Bryce Hamilton, because in those games in which Magnay was out, while Bryce Hamilton did do a decent job of scoring the basketball and had a couple of big scoring games, he wasn't able to get wins on the board for the team. So he got pinged in that regard. But he was right there. I had Bryce Hamilton at number 16 or number 17. But again, another guy with a bullet next to his name who could very easily be in the top 10.
So that is the first 10 in the top 15 at this mid-season portion in NBL26. It's a nice start from you, Ruck, but crunch time is coming. Are you ready to go on the clutch?
I certainly am.
So 5-1, that is coming very soon here in this top 15.